One day, I've asked the Lord, I've said one day, there's a few things I'd love to see. One of the things I would love to see is I would love to hear the sound of chains hitting the floor when we worship. I'd love to actually hear that sound because I know it's happening, but I want to hear it. I've asked the Lord, can you just that would be a kindness. I would love just to be able to hear that sound. Like big, thick chains, like the thickness of my arm, or a thicker thickness of Herbie's arm, wrapped round someone, and God just goes like that, and the chains literally just snap and break. Boom, they hit the floor like that. Come on, yeah. Yep. Crying at the thought of it, so when it actually happens, I'm going to be a mess. But anyway, money. What do I do with it? This is the series. Hopefully it will come up in just a minute. If it doesn't, I'll talk you through every slide. I warn you. No, you're right, Ruth. That's fair enough. Who was here when I spoke about giving 2 weeks ago, I think it was? Who was here? Just put your hand up. So all those people. Can you put your hand up if you were not here and didn't hear me? And you haven't caught up since? That's okay. It's no condemnation. It's all good. Hold on. Here we go. So we looked at, we looked at this last time. And very simply, the series is really called Money. What do I do with it? We've all got money. We all probably want more money. What do I do with the money that I've got? And I said to everyone, I'm going to do a 5-minute recap. I said to everyone, if you remember nothing else, remember this. That with your money, you give, you invest, and you live off the rest. Now, you might be able to find other words. That's all good. But you give it, or you tithe it, or you return the tithe, or whatever language. You invest it, as in you look to multiply it, and you live off the rest. Give, invest, live off the rest. If you remember nothing else, if you're a visual learner, remember that. Auditory learner, remember, give, invest, live off the rest. We looked at the history of tithing, as I see it in the Bible, and you see that in the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam and Eve the whole of the garden, but he said, that thing there is mine. And the reason I'm giving you something that is mine is because I want to see your heart attitude towards me. So a great example of this is a number of years ago, I bought a drone, not like a military one, like a fun toy one, right? And James Whiteley, love him. He came round, and I said, "Oh, mate, I just got this." And I brought the thing into land. I said, "Do you want to go?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, come on, I'll have a piece of that," I think is exactly the words he said. And so I gave him the controls, and I said, "Look, you just do this." And he said, "Okay," like that. So he got the thing up in the air, and he promptly flew it straight over my garden and smacked it into neighbour's fence, and it broke. I'd had it about half an hour. But you know what? He felt really bad. Like, really bad. He kept apologizing. He sent me a card with some really sort of good words in it. He said, "Can I just please buy you a replacement? I'll get you any of the spare parts," all that kind of thing. And I kept saying, "Mate, it's okay. It's a thing. Don't worry about it. You know, we can buy some bits. I'll get it fixed. Don't worry about it." You know, once we'd retrieved it, which took a bit of doing, search and rescue mission. But what was lovely is James's attitude towards my possession that I had lent him revealed his heart towards me. If he had smashed my drone and then gone, "Oh, well," and then walked off, I'd have thought, "Hang on a minute, sunshine, that was my drone you just smacked into a fence." The drone wouldn't have been the problem in that instance. What was beautiful is the reflection of James's heart towards me as shown by how he handled a possession that I had lent him. You got that? It's a really important principle. It's the same thing then when we look at Malachi, the prophet in the Old Testament, at the end of the Old Testament, and God says about people robbing him. And people say, "Well, hang on a minute. How on earth are we robbing you? What do you mean?" And they said, through Malachi the prophet, it says, "No, but you are robbing me because the tithes and offerings, you're keeping them. You're under a curse. Things are going badly for you because I've lent you some of my money and you keep spending it. And that's what they're saying. And so this is what we get. We covered all this last time. I'm trying to shoot through as quickly as I can. This is what God says to the people through Malachi. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. There may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. Notice it says, bring the whole tithe. We talked about this last time. Bring it into the storehouse. And you notice there's a promise attached to that. But here's the thing. It is a heart thing. Our faith comes out in action. We must fight against this becoming legalistic. It is not legalistic. If you make it legalistic, you've lost something. You've actually lost the thing, the very essence. It is a faith thing. It is a relational thing. So, after we spoke last time, do I need to say any of this bit? If not, I ran out of time in the first one. No. Yes, I'm just going to go on. Here we go. So, here are some questions that people ask. Where should my giving go? Now, the tithe is this principle that God gives you 100%, or whatever your money is, you get $5,000 in, and God says 500 of that is mine. And the reason I'm giving you something of mine is because I want to see what your heart attitude is like towards me. So I'm going to lend you something of mine, and I'm going to watch what you do with it. Oh, very quiet in here. That's why God called it robbing, because he said, I've lent you something of mine, and you're not giving it back. You're not returning it. That's why God spoke about robbing him. So in a number of places in the Bible, in Proverbs, back before that in Deuteronomy, in Romans, the Bible talks about our first fruits and the giving of our first fruits, and we're coming on to more of that in a minute. So when people say, well, the tithe, where should it go then? Like, if it belongs to God, what do? Chuck it up in the air and just say, well, God, what you catch, you keep. Whatever else lands to the ground is mine. I mean, how does this work? How can you actually give God money? And the good news is he's not short on cash, so that's fine. He has paving slabs of gold. It's not an issue. It's never about the money as such. And I'm going to just keep saying those things over and over again so people don't hear it as a legalistic thing. But I believe the Old Testament principle seems to be indicated from the Bible that you are to bring your first fruits, not your second fruits or your third, or whatever you've got left over, or, hang on, let me check my pockets. Oh, yeah, I've got a couple of quid down the back of the sofa. But your first fruits, you bring it into the storehouse. And the storehouse in the Old Testament was the place of the seat of community life together following God. Basically, church and your spiritual home. So, keeping this really simple, where should my giving, my tithe go? This 10% thing, where should that go? It should go to the place that is your spiritual home. If that's here, it should go here. If you're visiting here and this isn't your spiritual home, please do not give us your tithe. It needs to go to your church, whatever your church is, as in wherever it is or whatever. Churches are imperfect, they're flawed, all that kind of thing. People have dismantled church, and they say, well, this isn't really church, this is church, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, sure. I hope that comes out in the podcast, that feeling almost of exasperation. We know. This church was fine until you joined it. Because we all just ruin it. God has a great idea, and then we all come in and spoil it. And he says, I know. But I love you, and that's how it works. My family at home would be great if it weren't for everyone in it. And mainly me. That's how it works, right? And God knows that. So is this church perfect? Oh, gosh, no. Is any church perfect? No. Is any church doing it perfectly and doing everything brilliantly? No. It doesn't work like that. So some of what gets spent is exciting. We call it, in our house, we call it sexy. Or that's not very sexy, is it? You know, we got to buy some more bin liners. You're like, you know, as we say, it's not exactly sexy spending, as it were, but that's not the point. What we wouldn't do, this is just like a logic thing for me, is the money that I earn, let's just keep it simple. Nick earns some as well, but let's keep it really simple. I would not give the money I earn to the family down the road, because I bring it into my family to feed, clothe, and empower and release my family. That's my responsibility. That's why God's placed me in that group of people. He wouldn't then expect me to give my money that I earn to the family down the road. Now, he might ask me to give something to the family down the road. He may well ask me to do that. But it doesn't make much sense that my children haven't got clothes and are starving hungry and haven't got the things they need. And when they query me on it, I say, oh yeah, I gave it to people at number 4. And they think, but why did you do that? We're your why would you? I don't understand that in church either. I don't get it. So I hold on to this idea. Have I got it on this screen? I hope so. If not, it's the previous one. Yeah, no, on this one. I think I touched on this last time with you, and we got to different places in the 2 services, so apologies if we got it. I hold this belief that in the same way in the Old Testament, God said the principle of church and the spiritual home and the place of feeding, etc., the principle of that is if everyone gives 10% of whatever they get, that place will have more than enough to do the things it needs to do back out into the group of people. It's that principle that God set it up that way. So is it about an amount of money? No. It's about, well, I don't know what 10% of what you get is. It might be 50 quid. It might be 200 quid. It might be 500. It might be 10 grand. I've literally got no idea. But God says, just put it in, and everything I'm asking Pneuma Church to do, it will have enough money to do it. Yeah, but God, what if new people come? Yeah, that's right. When new people come, we have the capacity to do more things because more people are available and more people are giving. There is so much time and money that gets spent by us and other churches, but I'm just really trying to be direct with you. And as like, I am not angry and I'm nothing. I'm just trying, it's compassion. I'm trying to explain to people, we spend so much time, and churches do up and down the land, trying to get enough money to do the things that God's told us to do. And do you know what people do? They say to you, God always pays for what he orders. And you're like, yeah, the money's in your pocket, sunshine. That's why we can't pay for it, because you're not giving it. So does God find another way round it? No, not always. So that means there are some things that we're supposed to be doing that we're not able to do. I'm talking general churches, but I can only talk about this church. All churches are probably trying to do things that they haven't got the funds to do. So what do? And this is weird. We go out and ask other people to pay for the things that we are doing. They're called grants. I think that's a bit strange. Like, we've got used to it. And if you're in the charity sector, which is what we are, which the bride of Christ isn't, in my opinion, I'll leave that one there. I'm not saying it's sin. I'm just saying I think there's a higher calling than being a charity. I mean, no one wants to be a charity case, right? But the bride of Christ, being a charity, I don't know, I don't get it. And I wonder if God's plan really is that we are having to go outside the church to get the money to do the things he's asking us to do. It doesn't make sense to me. There's something just quite a bit grindy about it. I know some people will say, who know their Bibles well, but the money of the unrighteous is laid up for the just. Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to go to the cross over it type thing, but it's just that thing. So what we're going to do, carry on this morning. Yes, so let's look at this. This word here. returning the tithe to the local church. Now, after I spoke last time, I had someone come straight up to me at the end. They were here in the first service. They're not here now. So it's good. I can look round. In the first service, I had to keep my head down in case I looked at them. But they came up to me and they said, Chris, you don't give your tithe. You return your tithe. And I said, yeah, I get it. I get it. I absolutely understand. Some people believe, we spoke about this last time, tithing, this idea of getting a whatever and you give a tenth of it, stopped at the cross. Some things did stop at the cross, some things didn't. So worshipping Jesus, that made it all the way through the cross. We still do it to this day, right? This is great news. Other things, like having to bring sacrificial lambs, I'm pleased to say that stopped at the cross because Jesus is our sacrificial lamb. So some things make it through the cross and some things stop at the cross. Personally, I think tithing made it through. Some people believe it stopped. I am trying to speak in such a way that allows for the people who hold that theology, because I have sympathy with it. I don't fall that way. I fall the other way. But here's the thing. In the Old Testament, God said, if you have sex with your neighbor's wife, you've committed adultery. In the New Testament, God says, if you even look lustfully at your neighbor's wife, you've committed adultery. God says, if you hate your brother and murder them, essentially you are a murderer. In the New Testament, God says, if you even call your brother a fool, you're guilty of the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is, if you don't believe that tithing made it through the cross, I'm good with that. But everything in the Old Testament, by the time it comes into the New Testament, goes way up. So you can either stick with 10% and tithe, or get ready for the wallet raid from the Lord. I'm good with it. I get the theology of both. So I would say tithing isn't even generosity. It's just obedience. If you earn $5,000, you give 500. I'm being generous, giving 500. No, I'm not. So in the first service, let's just pick on someone. I'm going to pick on Paul here. Don't worry, you don't have to come up or anything like that. So Paul has lent me his broom, right? I needed one to sweep some leaves, I don't know, and Paul very kindly lent me his broom. So when I return the broom to Paul, I'm not being generous. It's his broom. I'm not going to say, Paul, I've got you something really special here. I mean, it's cost me a lot, but here. Paul would go, what are you talking about? It's my broom. You're just simply giving me back my broom. Now, I could choose to be generous as well, so I might say, Paul, thank you so much. I'm going to buy you an afternoon tea somewhere to say thank you for the loan of your broom. Now I'm being generous. But simply giving him back his broom is not generosity. You understand what I mean by that? So returning something to someone is not being generous. It's called being nice and just giving someone back. Because if you don't return something that belongs to someone else, what's that called? Stealing. Thank you. You said it, not me. Okay, great. So this is what I would love us to remember, because this is a tough old topic, because it's pretty unwavering. I want us to all to remember this. God is a loving Father who is not trying to take something from us, but he's trying to get something to us. What he's basically saying is, Chris, you trust me enough to return the bit that I've lent to you to see what you're going to do with it. And you will see that my hands were like this, and they're now like this. And I can pour blessing on you. My hands are released. You have shown me that you trust me, particularly when it comes to provision. Do you see that? It's uncomfortable, because what we actually naturally want to do is just hold on to it like, no, God, I need it. I can't afford to tithe. You don't understand. And God says, oh, I understand. I understand that the silver and gold are mine, and I have all the resources available, but I can't give them to you at the moment because you're not releasing faith that I can provide for you, because you keep holding on to the little bit that belongs to me. It's really hard. Like, it feels a bit like that. So I'm going to try and answer a few questions, and I was terrible in the first service. We way overran, which I'm going to do my best not to today. I can't afford to tithe. So trying to answer some of these questions, I've heard many objections to tithing or giving over the years. And I will just say this. Sometimes people ask questions because they're trying to find out how they can do something. And sometimes people ask questions because they're trying to find out how they can get out of having to do something. Do you know the different type of questions? I'm assuming you're asking questions because you want to be able to do something, not the other way. If it's the other way, it doesn't matter how many answers I give you, it's not going to satisfy you. I'm going to do my very best to point to some things, okay? So, number one is up here, I can't afford to tithe. I have a really simple answer to this, and most people don't like it because it just feels too easy to say it. And it's this, I can't afford not to. If me returning the 10% to him, as the Bible seems to indicate, as if me returning the 10% to him releases God's hands to pour out provision for me, I can't afford to live without that provision. And I don't want to live as an orphan looking after myself. I want to live as a son in relationship with the Father. So it's tricky. And the difficult thing about tithing is there doesn't seem to be like a halfway measure. It's like you do it or you don't do it. It's really hard. So you end up saying to people, well, what people want from me, Chris, I can't afford to tithe. What they want is this. I understand. Yeah, no, I really do understand. I tell you what, just put a tenner in. Don't worry about it. Because do you know what? God, he's just interested in your heart. He sees your heart. Yeah, and God sees what we put in as well. He knows our hearts already. He wants to know if we're going to follow it up with action. I'm sorry. That's from James. So like I'm literally trying to talk to you from the Bible. I know some of it's uncomfortable. What I do know is that we all put our money after the things we love. If you take your bank statements, like we said, or your app or whatever, a record of what you spend your money on, and your diary, plug them into AI and say, AI, tell me what my priorities are in my life. It'll do it for you. It'll say, these are your priorities. From your spending and how you spend your time, these seem to be your priorities. We all put money into the things that matter to us. Thanks, Chris. Chris is still with me. Okay, so it's this idea that God says, I'm giving you 90%. Just show me you trust me and return the 10 and see if I will not throw open the windows of heaven and pour out so much blessing. Here are some other queries. Did I press the clicker? Yes, I did. So, can't afford it, I've done it. My income changes a lot. This is a common one for people. I would say, well, how do I know what to give? Well, you just work out at the end of the month. How much have I got? Divide it by 10 and give that. Or the week, or however you want to do it. It's that principle. Now, I did get in trouble with Dave Rowe because I said you just move the decimal point along. I know the decimal point never moves. It's only the numbers that move. Yes, I used to teach it. But anyway, I did get in trouble from Dave. Yeah. Anyway, but that's basically what you do. So if you earn 10 grand, it's $1,000. If you earn $1,000, it's 100. If you earn 100, it's a tenner. You know, it's this principle. And what you do is that you can do a few things. So my salary stays largely this. It doesn't vary month to month. Nick's changes. And so I see you have a couple of options. So what you can do is say, well, let's work out what the lowest that Nick gets, added to mine, work out 10%, give that. And then what Nick gets over and above that, you can give separately. And just say, I want to top my tithe up. Because Nick got a bit of extra money that month, and we will work it out and say, we want to put an extra 50, an extra 100, whatever it is she got, right? Or you can say, what I'm going to do is work out, let's say Nick's salary goes between, so that's my salary, Nick's is on top, and it goes between that and that and that. But basically, that's the lowest, that's the highest. What you can do is just tithe on the highest. You can't outgive God, right? And when he sees your heart, that how you want to return money, give, etc., that's going to make his day. He's not going, oh, idiot. Now I'm stuck. I don't know what to do with you. Oh, my word. Have you seen his giving? He's so generous. It's ridiculous. You know that. Before tax or after, well, you give your first fruits to God, not to the tax office. It's just that simple. If you, in your heart, well, this is so blunt. I'm really loving. Honestly, I'm a loving guy. I'm just telling you what the Bible says. If in our hearts we hold the tax office in a higher authority than God, then give your taxes first. If God is a higher authority to you than the tax office, then give to God first. Just leave that there. Very quiet. Hope you're enjoying it at home. So another one is, what about birthday gifts? People ask me this question. What about, I got some money for my birthday. Oh, for goodness sake, just spend it. Like, I don't know the answer. Generally, I don't tithe if someone gives me some money for my birthday, my parents give me 50 quid or something for my birthday, I don't normally tithe it. You might wish to. Great, go for it. I'm not saying it's right, wrong. Where should I give it? We've covered that. What counts as income? And someone came and asked me a really tricky question after the first service. What counts as income? For example, you sell a car. I would say if the assets you have are being transferred from one type to another, I did have a car, I now have $6,000 because I've just sold the car. You haven't actually got income, you've just switched what form your assets were in. Do you understand what I mean? Personally, I wouldn't tithe on that $6,000 I've now got in my hand. I wouldn't, because all I've done is change the, what's the word I'm looking for? Asset. Yeah, I'll go with asset. It wasn't what I was going to say, but that's fine. Some people, what about an investment maturing? Okay, so let's say you've got this scheme or you're putting money into something, and over 10 years you put in $10,000, and at the end of 10 years you get $12,000. I think I would probably tithe on the $2,000. I wouldn't tithe on the 10 because I've already tithed on that 10 because it's my money that I've already tithed that I'm now putting in. So I would probably tithe on the 2, probably. I think but I'm just telling you, that's what I would probably do. I do get some people ask me really some frankly stupid questions, like, how should I tithe? Someone's given me a car. Give God the passenger seat? Like, I literally why don't you just drive the car and be thankful, right? I don't think you can, you can't tithe that. I'll give God some boot space. That's what I'm going to do. I don't think, it doesn't work like that. And another query is, I think I've covered this one, so I'm going to shoot through this. I'm not sure I agree with how my local church use it. The beautiful thing is, we are responsible for when people give money in, whether it's a tithe, whatever form it is. Believe me, leaders are we are doubly accountable. So, and if you are giving your money and you're giving it freely and you're giving it, and we are in any way misusing that money or anything like that, don't worry, it's not on your heads. It's undoubtedly on ours, and we have a number of robust systems. You might choose to say, well, I'd rather put it here, I'd rather put it there. Yeah. Sorry, it's just, we try and listen, we try and do our absolute best. It's the same with taxes and all other kinds of things, lots of things. Every time you buy something and you give Aldi or Tesco your money, they're probably using it for things that you don't agree with, but it's just a bit the way it works. We will always do our best, and we always try and honor God and everything else. So here's another question, and we're doing much better than the first service. What about other giving? So people ask this as well. This is a great question. What about other giving? Should I give in other places? Well, I would immediately jump on the word should. Why did you use the word should I give? Because generosity is a heart thing. So it's a longing, it's a desire rather than, do I have to give to other places? No. You want to be generous like Father God is generous, right? So in 2 Corinthians 9, we haven't got time to go there, but 2 Corinthians 9, you can make a note of this. Paul is coming back to the church at Corinth to pick up a gift that they are giving him for his travels and for the places he's going to. Paul doesn't say, give me your tithe. Because that group of people in that church will have been giving their money into that. What he says is, what you're giving me is, I quote, a generous gift. This is over and above the tithe. So one of the things, we have to be a bit careful of here, and I mean this genuinely, is if we do some other kind of giving of any description on a Sunday morning, we try and make it really clear this is not your normal giving. Because if not, what people do is instead of putting 50 quid in the giving, they'll put 50 quid towards that, and you're like, it doesn't work like that. One thing is being returned, one thing is being given. And there's a difference between the two. So for example, you might come to Life to the City, and we always do some kind of giving opportunity there. Please don't put your tithe in that. But if you want to give extra, then give extra. And if you can't afford to or you don't want it, or you're not obliged, much like we're not obliged to return the tithe either. I'm trying to just keep this super practical, okay? So Nick and I give to other places as well, some other places. It doesn't particularly matter what they are, but we don't include those as part of our tithe. We try to live a life of being generous. Could I be more generous? Of course I could be more generous. I'm constantly trying to be more generous because it's a kick in the teeth to that spirit that says, I have to look after myself. And instead, I'm going to keep just being generous. If I go out for a coffee or something with you, or a meal or something, I will probably offer to pay. Because I want to just keep being... Chris, take me out for coffee. Yeah. And sometimes other people do, and it's great. And we do need to learn to say, yes, thank you. So the other week, Chris said, for our one-to-one, we meet once a fortnight, Chris and I, he said, for our one-to-one, can I take you out for breakfast? I said, yep. Like, great. And Chris paid, and that was really kind, and all that kind of thing. And if I don't let him pay, and we do that Christian thing, oh, no, let me pay. Oh, no, let me pay. Oh, no, let me pay. You do that thing, then Chris misses out on the blessing of being able to buy me breakfast. And I had to pay for my own. So how does that work? But no, I didn't. And Chris paid, and it was lovely. And I was able just to say yes. Generally, I will just say this, that if someone is trying to give you some money, or they're trying to give you a gift, generally take it. There are a few circumstances when I don't. Number one is if I don't think the person is stable and making a decision from a good mind and a clear head. I won't take it. And I'll say really politely, I'll say, this is so kind of you. Can we maybe revisit this in a little while? And if you still want to do it, can we talk again? There's one thing you can say. The other time I don't take a gift is if I think someone's trying to manipulate me, which doesn't happen very often. I'm not very manipulatable. Is that a word? I think so. Anyway, it doesn't work for me anyway. So I don't think people do that. And the only other thing is if it's a particularly generous gift, which doesn't happen often, but if it is particularly generous, I will always say, are you absolutely sure? And I'll give them one chance to get out of giving it. As it happens, we have systems and processes in place here that if someone is trying to give me or any of the other leaders a gift, we have people that we go to as a double check to say, do you think this is okay that someone does this for me or whatever? But cool, didn't say any of that in the first service. So we want to offer this to you, tithing support. The really tricky thing here is this. God and the Bible and I disagree on this point, but he's the boss. I want to say to people, I really believe in tithing. He seems to. So I would love to be able to say to people, listen, I know it's hard if you're not tithing at all to suddenly go, 10%? What? How am I supposed to afford 10%? For most people, we live to our means. Right? So most people haven't got 10% of their income just... And what people do is they say, if I had more money, I'd tithe. You're like, no, you wouldn't. If you can't tithe when you haven't got much, you won't tithe when you've got a lot. You just think you will, but you're kidding yourself. Because we always just live to our means. But what we want to be able to offer to people, I would love to be able to say, look, don't worry, just start at 2%, right? Just build it up over the coming months. Maybe start at 5. And then just see if you want to build it up or whatever. That's what I would say. Just so you know, that's my opinion. God's opinion seems to be, hey, Chris, a tithe is a tithe is a tithe. So I'm going to go with God because he's the boss. I'm just the delivery boy. So God says, test me in this. So what we would love to be able to do with people here is say, do you know what? We would love to give you a bit of a leg up in taking the risk of faith to tithe, because it is a risk. I get it. It's faith. It's trusting him. Faith, fantastic adventures in trusting him. That cheesy thing. That's what it is. Because God says, test me in this. So what we want to do is help people who aren't tithing. And I don't know whether you're tithing or not. And even if you're giving, I don't know whether it's a tithe. We don't know those things about people. But you say, I want to give this a go. I want to go for it. And what you do is you start tithing. And if after 3 months, you are not seeing a change in your financial situation, and you come back to us and say, I just need my money back. And we say, sure. No questions asked. Only about 2 people will probably even know. And we simply give you your money back. It's not a gimmick for us, not in the least. What it is a bit of a faith leg up. God's promises never fail. We have never had to give someone their money back yet. All we're doing is saying to you, would it help you if we just promised that we would? If there's that just makes you feel a little bit easier. When that guy comes to Jesus and says, I do believe, just help me in my unbelief, that thing. That's what it is. So you might be interested and say, I want to give this a go. I feel like, yep, come on, I want to try this, and I would love to do tithing support. We would love to help you in that. So what now? There's a slide going to come up in a minute. We're probably going to revisit this one very slightly, but I would say for most people, just go home and review your giving. Work out what you're giving. There was one lady who came up to me after the first service and said, our salaries have recently changed, and so after the end of the first service, they were here in the first service, after the end of the first service, we've just recalculated our tithe. I said, oh, great. Yeah, do you want to know how much it is? I'm like, I don't know, do I? 666. I went, it just really made me laugh. I said, yeah, maybe give an extra £1, yeah? But anyway, so, Nick and I, we've just done this whole process. We've just reviewed our tithe. Literally, we worked out what percentage are we on and just had a look and whatever. And we've just upped our percentage. And we've done it as a very deliberate, intentional act. And I'm going to tell you the amount, not the amount of money. I'm going to tell you the percentage because that doesn't mean a lot to people, so that's fine. This is not about, there is literally nothing. How can you brag? Everything's his, right? So there's literally nothing to brag about. But I want to explain something to you. So we tithed at 10% for years. We're just about to change. I think we're on about 13.1% or something. I want to get to the point where I'm reverse tithing, where I'm giving 90 back and living off the 10. I'd love to get to that place, but I've got to do it in a stage, so we're going up to 15. I mean, we're trying, right? We're doing our best. But here's an interesting thing, and the reason I mention the percentage is because the tithe is 10%. So strictly speaking, that extra 5% that we're giving isn't tithe, it's seed. Because he gives bread for the eater and seed for the sower. So technically that is seed. So I need to change my thinking around that extra 5% and start saying, okay, God, you say 30, 60, 100-fold. You say give and it will be given back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. I'll pour it into your lap. You're like, I've told you, God, I want money. Money gets things done. And I want you to be able to trust me with money. So this is the final slide, and I would love you to take You have to you have to get your phone out and open the camera, which I forgot to say in the first service. And you should get this. These are the things we want to be able to offer to people as part of this subject that we're doing for a few weeks. If you're starting to give financially to Pneuma Church, or you're changing your financial giving, if you would like to have a go at the tithing support and risk it for a biscuit and just say, do you know what, God, help me in my unbelief, then scan that. If you want to receive practical support and guidance on budgeting in your day-to-day finances, Chris and Vic are going to offer at some point to stay behind, like after. I think that's the way they're going to do it. People can stick around for an hour or so, and they will just help people. This is how we budget, essentially, is what Chris and Vic are going to say. So if you know you're not very good at budgeting and like I could really do with some help, that might be just the thing. We'll let you know. Or if you want to receive support because you're in debt, we would love to be able to help you with that. Christians Against Poverty are a fabulous organisation. I absolutely love them, and I love what they do. They and I slightly disagree over this, but it's all good. It comes out in the wash in the end. They would say, no, you pay your debts first. I would say, you always give your first fruits to God first. I get why they say it. I'm not saying they're wrong. We just don't quite agree on it. That's all good. It's all good. God makes a way. So if you are in debt and you would love some help, know that this is confidential. If you scan that code, your name doesn't appear on the screen. You're okay. We will do our very best to help you. So let's stand. We need to wrap up. Somehow I'm about to be exactly as late as I was after the first service. Pointless trying. It's pointless trying. Anyway, Lord, we love you for your generosity towards us. I mean, you've held nothing back. You give us everything we need for life and godliness. You gave us your Son. You let your Son and sent your Son to the cross to give up his life just to be with us. I mean, there is just nothing you hold back from us. And God, I do not want to be a person saying that people have to tithe. It's not me, God. Can you take on that job and just convict people, speak to them, encourage them, woo them, show them how much you care, remind them that you're a loving dad, that you're not trying to take from people but get something to them. And God, if I've said anything that's like harsh or lacking thought or care, then God, I'm sorry. Please just let that fall to the ground. But God, we take your word, we look in the Bible, see what you're saying, and we go and do something about it. Thank you, Lord. We love you. Amen.